Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, I want you to close your eyes for a second and just picture a classroom. But I don't want you to picture the fluorescent lights or the uncomfortable wooden desks or that smell of chalk dust.
Right.
I want you to picture a classroom that feels more like a sanctuary.
It's a classroom with no grades, no tuition bills, no heavy textbooks to lug around.
Right.
And maybe the strangest detail of all, there is only one student on the entire roster.
And the subject matter isn't calculus or history or, marketing strategy. The subject is the meaning of life. We are talking, of course, about the massive, enduring, just tearjerker of a bestseller, Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom.
This is one of those books that just sits on millions of nightstands. It's a memoir, but structurally, it's really a thesis.
That's a great way to put it.
It's the story of the final few months in the life of Morrie Schwartz, a sociology professor at Brandeis University, as told by his former student, Mitch Albom. And I think what makes this deep dive so special is that we aren't just analyzing a story.
No.
We are essentially auditing that final class.
Exactly. We are the listeners sitting in the hallway, eavesdropping on this incredible conversation. I love the setup because the book is literally the final paper produced from these Tuesday sessions.
Right.
It's not just a biography, it's a curriculum.
And the setting is so intimate. I mean, we aren't in some big lecture hall. We are in Morrie's study in his home in West Newton, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And there are these vivid details that they anchor you in the room. The most prominent one for me is this hibiscus plant on the windowsill.
The hibiscus plant, yeah.
It has this beautiful pink flowers, and as the weeks go by in the book, the plant starts to shed its leaves.
It's like nature's clock ticking down.
Precisely. It's a visual metaphor for Morrie's declining health. So as the plant withers, so does the professor. It just sets this ticking clock element to all the wisdom being shared.
Okay, so before we open the syllabus and get into the specific lessons, and we have a lot of them from, death to money to marriage, we have to understand the two men in the room.
Absolutely.
Because the emotional weight of this story, it really comes from the gap between them.
That's the crucial context. If you don't understand that gap, the reunion just doesn't hit as hard. We have to rewind the clock.
Way back.
Way back to 1979. Mitch Albom is graduating from Brandeis. And he's not the famous sports writer yet. He's young, he's wide-eyed, he's hopeful, and he has this incredibly intense bond with his favorite professor, Morrie.
And there's that one scene at graduation that really just sets the hook for the entire story.
The gift.
The gift. Mitch hands Morrie a gift. It's a tan briefcase with Morrie's initials on it. And Nick says something that I think it haunts a lot of us who have lost touch with mentors. He says, I want you to have this so you won't forget me.
So poignant. And then comes the promise. The classic graduation promise.
I'll stay in touch.
We've all said it.
Which, as it turns out, is the great lie of adulthood for so many of us.
It is. It really is. Mitch drives off. And for 16 years... he is a ghost.
16 years.
He doesn't call. He doesn't write. He completely drops off the map.
But I think it's really important to look at why he drops off the map. It's not just that he got busy or, lost the phone number.
No, not at all.
Mitch undergoes a fundamental transformation. The Mitch who comes back 16 years later is a very different guy. He's almost unrecognizable emotionally.
He is. And the catalyst for that hardening, for that change, was a specific tragedy.
Right.
Mitch had a favorite uncle, the guy he sort of modeled his life after. This uncle was vibrant, strong, just everything Mitch wanted to be. And then he dies of pancreatic cancer at the age of 44.
So young. And Mitch was right there.
He lived downstairs from him. He watched this strong man he idolized just wither away in terrible pain.
It has to be traumatizing for a young man.
Yeah.
Just devastating.
It broke him. It absolutely broke him. And it convinced Mitch of a very specific and I think very damaging narrative.
Which was?
That he was going to die young too. He just thought, I don't have time. So he abandons his dream.
The music.
The music. He wanted to be a musician, a piano player. But after the uncle died, he felt that music was, a waste of time. He needed to produce. He needed to leave a mark before his own clock ran out.
So he pivots to journalism. And not just, writing a few articles. He becomes a content machine.
A total workaholic.
Yeah.
He goes back to school, gets the degree, and lands at the Detroit Free Press. But he's not just writing columns. I mean, he's writing books, doing radio shows, appearing on TV sports panels. He's completely obsessed with speed, with money, and with professional success.
He's checking all the boxes of the American dream from that era,
Yeah.
the 90s. He's famous. He's making good money. He marries this wonderful woman named Janine. But there's a hollowness there, isn't there?
Absolutely, a deep hollowness. He keeps putting off having a family because he's, quote, too busy. He's trading his time for accolades because he thinks that gives him some kind of control over his own mortality.
He's running a race.
He's running a race against a ghost.
That's Mitch. He's the rat race.
Yeah.
Completely personified. Now, let's look at the other side of that equation. While Mitch is sprinting, Morrie's world is coming to a just a screeching halt.
And this is the summer of 1994. Morrie's a vibrant guy. He's a sociology professor, sure, but his soul is really that of a dancer.
I love the descriptions of his dancing in the book.
It's so joyous. He would go to this church in Harvard Square on Wednesday nights for something called Dance Free. He'd wear a white t-shirt and sweatpants and just move. He would just let go to whatever music was playing. Jimi Hendrix, the blues, it didn't matter.
He wasn't a professional dancer or anything.
No. He was just connected to his body. He loved the freedom of movement.
Which makes the diagnosis so much crueler.
It's the ultimate irony. It starts subtly. He develops asthma. He starts having trouble walking. Then he falls down the stairs at a theater, and that fall leads him to the doctor's office and, well, to the words that no one ever wants to hear.
ALS.
Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, often called Lou Gehrig's disease.
And Moore describes the disease with this very, very visceral metaphor. He calls it a lit candle.
That image really sticks with you, doesn't it? He says ALS is like a lit candle that just melts your nerves and leaves your body a pile of wax.
And a terrifying image.
It is. It usually starts in the legs and just works its way up. You lose control of your thigh muscles, then your torso, and eventually you can't swallow. You can't breathe.
But the mind.
Yeah.
The mind is untouched.
That's the lit part of the candle.
Yeah.
Your mind remains perfectly awake, perfectly lucid. You are trapped inside a limp husk, as he puts it, fully conscious of your own deterioration.
And the prognosis is terminal.
The doctors give him 2 years.
So here is Morrie walking out of the doctor's office with what is essentially a death sentence. And this is where we hit the first major lesson of this deep dive. I like to call it Morrie's choice.
It's a true existential crossroads. He walks out of that office, and he sees the world just continuing as normal. The sun is shining, people are putting quarters in parking meters, eager to get to lunch.
And he's just thinking.
He feels this massive cognitive dissonance. He thinks, don't you people know, my world just stopped.
It's that profound feeling of isolation. You're dropping into a hole, and everyone else is just walking by on the sidewalk.
Exactly. He feels that he is sinking, and he has to ask himself a critical question. Do I wither up and disappear? Do I withdraw from the world in shame and just wait to die? Or do I make the best of my time left?
And he chooses option 3.
He chooses option 3. He decides to make death his final project.
I love that framing.
It's amazing. He realizes that everyone is going to die, but no one really knows what it's like to go through the process step by step. We hide death away in hospitals and hospices.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Right. So Morrie decides to become a human textbook. He wants people to study him in his slow demise. He wants to narrate the trip.
That is such a brave, almost impossibly brave response to tragedy. To say, I'm going to use my suffering as a teaching tool.
It's incredibly rare, and it's what eventually reconnects him with Mitch. You see, Morrie starts writing these aphorisms, these little bite-sized philosophies about living with death.
Little nuggets of wisdom.
Exactly. Things like, accept what you are able to do and what you are not able to do. Simple, but profound. A reporter from the Boston Globe gets wind of this and writes a story about this unique professor.
And that story catches the eye of a producer at Nightline.
And enter Ted Koppel.
I love this interaction. It's so telling. You have Ted Koppel, one of those famous serious interviewers in America at the time, coming to interview this dying sociology professor in his living room.
You'd expect Morrie to be intimidated, maybe a little starstruck.
Of course.
Not Morrie, not at all. Morrie actually interviews Koppel first.
He flips the script on him.
Completely. He asks him, tell me something close to your heart. And Koppel, he tries to deflect. Because he's a journalist, he's trained to keep that distance. But Morrie persists. Then he playfully calls Koppel a narcissist.
To his face, on camera.
To his face. And Koppel just bursts out laughing. It completely breaks the ice. But in that interview, Morrie says something that really sets the tone for his honesty for the rest of the book.
What's that?
Koppel asks him what he dreads the most. What is the one thing he's truly afraid of? And Morrie says, Ted, one day soon, someone's going to have to wipe my ass.
He actually says that on national television.
He does. It's what he calls the ass wipe test. For Morrie, that was the ultimate symbol of dependency, the total loss of autonomy. But by saying it out loud to millions of people, he's already starting to take the power away from the shame.
He's owning it.
He's owning it from the very beginning.
And it's that broadcast that changes everything for Mitch.
Right. Mitch is in Detroit. He's flipping through channels late at night, probably exhausted from work, half asleep, and he hears that voice. Who is Morrie Schwartz?
Oh, he freezes.
He freezes. He sees his old professor, his coach, in a wheelchair on the screen, and the guilt, 16 years of it, just washes over him.
So he decides to visit. And this leads us to what the book calls Act 1, the reunion. But it's not exactly a fairy tale reunion, is it? It's not slow motion running through a meadow.
No, it's cringeworthy. It's genuinely painful. Mitch drives up in a rental car, and he's on the phone with a producer doing business, probably yelling about deadlines.
Of course he is.
He pulls up to the house, and he sees Morrie sitting on the lawn waiting for him.
And Mitch is still on the phone.
Mitch sees his dying mentor, who he hasn't seen in 16 years, and instead of hanging up, he ducks down in the seat.
Oh, it just hurts to hear. It's so honest, though.
So honest. He pretends he's looking for his keys. He finishes his business call first. It's the perfect illustration of how far he's strayed. He's trading a real human moment with his dying friend for work.
But when he finally gets out of the car, Morrie doesn't scold him. He doesn't say, "Where have you been?"
No, not at all. Morrie just hugs him. He holds him affectionately, and he says, "My old friend, you've come back at last." Mitch feels completely fake. He knows he's not that good student anymore. He feels hardened and cynical.
A completely different person.
But Morrie just invites him back in. He asks him the questions that Mitch has been avoiding his whole adult life. Are you at peace with yourself? Are you trying to be as human as you can be?
And Mitch realizes the answer is a resounding no.
The contrast is just so stark.
Yeah.
Mitch has full health, money, a huge career, and he's miserable. Morrie is dying, he can't walk, and he's just vibrant with love and purpose.
And then fate, or something like it, steps in again. Yeah. Because Mitch goes back to Detroit and finds out the newspaper unions have gone on strike.
Suddenly, the job that was his entire identity, the thing he sacrificed everything for, it's just gone. The noise stops, he's unemployed, he has no purpose.
He's adrift.
Completely.
Yeah.
So he calls Morrie back, and he decides he's going to travel to Boston every Tuesday.
Just like their old college schedule, their office hours.
Exactly. They are Tuesday people, as Morrie says. And so the ritual begins. Mitch starts bringing bags of food turkey, potato salad, pasta.
Even though Morrie can't really eat solid food anymore,
Right.
his swallowing is getting bad.
Right. The food just piles up in the refrigerator, untouched. But Morrie lets him bring it because he knows Mitch needs to feel useful. It's Mitch's way of contributing. He brings stuff because he doesn't know how to just bring himself yet.
And then, eventually, Mitch brings a tape recorder. He says he wants to remember Morrie's voice.
And Morrie loves it. He says, I want to tell you my story. So they make a list. A literal syllabus of topics to cover before Morrie dies.
Okay, so let's open that syllabus. This is Act 2 of the story, the curriculum. The first big topic is naturally death. But Morrie has a very specific visualization he uses to approach it.
He calls it the bird on the shoulder. It's a Buddhist technique. He says every morning you should imagine a little bird sitting on your shoulder.
Little bird.
And that bird asks you a few simple questions. Is today the day? Am I ready? Am I doing all I need to do? Am I being the person I want to be?
Now, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Yeah.
Waking up every morning and immediately thinking about dying. That sounds, well, a bit morbid. People might think that just leads to anxiety, not peace.
It sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? But Morrie argues it's the exact opposite. He has this line that is maybe the most famous one from the book. He says, once you learn how to die, you learn how to live.
Okay, let's unpack that. What does that actually mean in practice? How does thinking about death make you live better?
It means that most of us, myself included sometimes, we sleepwalk through life. We get so caught up in things that ultimately don't matter. Ego, career climbing, accumulating stuff, because we operate under the delusion that we have forever.
We procrastinate on the important things.
We procrastinate on love, on spirituality, on reconciliation. But if you truly believe right now that you could die today, if that little bird on your shoulder says yes today, you wouldn't spend your time worrying about a promotion or a petty argument.
No, you'd call your mom or your kids.
You'd focus on what's essential. So Facing the reality of death strips away all the nonsense. It clarifies your values in a way nothing else can.
Morrie says he looks out his window
Yeah.
and he appreciates the seasons changing more than anyone.
Because he knows it might be his last time seeing them. He's more alive because his time is limited.
But surely he has moments where he's just sad. I mean, he's losing control of his body. He's watching his own muscles atrophy in real time.
Of course. And this leads to a second deep dive topic from the curriculum. Self-pity versus gratitude. Mitch asks him, don't you ever feel sorry for yourself? And Morrie's answer is so practical. He says, I give myself a good cry in the morning.
Just in the morning.
He puts a limit on it, a time limit. He allows himself to mourn what he's lost. He cries because he can't move his legs. He cries because he won't dance again. He feels all of it. But then he stops.
He puts a cap on it.
He says, I don't allow myself any more self-pity than that.
That is such a useful tool. It's not that toxic positivity where you just suppress the bad feelings and pretend everything is fine.
Not at all.
It's acknowledging them, feeling them, giving them their space, but then consciously stepping out of them.
Right. It's about not getting stuck in the mud. After his cry, he shifts his focus to the good things. He has visitors. He has stories to hear. He has time to say goodbye. He actually points out that sudden deaths, like a heart attack or a car crash, they allow no time for closure.
So in a way, he sees his slow decline as a gift.
He frames his slow decline as a lucky chance to have those last conversations. It's a profound act of reframing your circumstances.
This idea of controlling how you engage with feelings connects directly to his concept of detachment. Now, this one was a bit tricky for me to get at first, because usually when we hear the word detachment, we think of being cold or unfeeling.
And that's a common misconception. Morrie's definition, which draws on Buddhist philosophy again, is actually the opposite. He says you can only truly detach from something if you have experienced it fully.
Can you give us an example of how he applies that?
The most powerful one in the book is about his coughing fits. As the ALS progressed, Morrie would have these violent coughing spells where he couldn't get air, his chest would lock up. It literally felt like he was suffocating. It's terrifying.
That sounds like a panic attack waiting to happen, pure terror.
It is. It's the feeling of drowning in air. But Morrie says that in those moments, he doesn't fight the fear. He dives into it. He acknowledges it completely. He says to himself, this is fear. I know what this is. I feel it.
So he names it.
By recognizing it fully, by naming it and feeling it without resistance, he can then mentally step away from it. He can say, okay, that's the fear, but I am not the fear.
So he separates his core identity from the emotion he's experiencing.
Yes. His goal is to die serenely. He doesn't want to die in a state of fright. So he practices this detachment so that when the final moment comes, he can accept it rather than fighting it in terror.
That's incredibly advanced emotional regulation. It's like being the calm observer of your own experience.
It really is.
Okay, let's talk about something that hits Mitch really hard. Aging. Mitch is obsessed with his youth, right? He's looking in the mirror, checking his hairline. He fears becoming irrelevant.
It's the classic midlife crisis fear, professional oblivion. And Morrie just laughs at it. He finds it so absurd. He says, aging is not just decay, it's growth.
But Morrie is decaying. Physically, he is. So how can he say that with a straight face?
He challenges the culture's obsession with youth. He says, Mitch, I know what a misery being young can be. He points out that young people are often insecure. They don't know who they are. They're so easily manipulated by media and trends.
That's true.
He says, if you've actually found meaning in your life, you don't want to go back. You want to go forward. It's the people with unsatisfied lives who wish they were young again.
And I love his line about being every age.
Yes, that's one of my absolute favorites. He says, I am every age up to my own. He's a 3-year-old, he's a 20-year-old, he's a 50-year-old. He can connect with a child because he remembers exactly what it was like to be a child.
So it's an accumulation of experience, not a loss of youth.
Exactly. He argues that if you are battling against getting older, you will always be unhappy because you're fighting a losing battle. Nature always wins.
This leads right into his views on society, and especially on money. Morrie is pretty anti-materialistic.
He is, fundamentally. He believes we are brainwashed by our culture. He says society just repeats the mantra, more is good, over and over and over, until we believe it.
And we try to fill a spiritual void with stuff.
We try to substitute money and power for genuine love and connection. We buy things to fill a void that things can't possibly fill.
There's a really funny moment where he brings up Ted Turner.
Right, the billionaire media mogul. At the time this was all happening, Turner had been in the news lamenting that he couldn't buy the CBS network. He was genuinely upset about it.
Billionaires' problems.
And Morrie is sitting there, dying, unable to lift his own hand, and he's just laughing at the absurdity of it. He says, "I don't want my tombstone to read. I never owned a network."
It really puts things in perspective. Morrie says that when you're dying, you realize you can't take any of that stuff with you. It offers zero comfort.
So his solution isn't to run away to the jungle and live off the grid. It's to create your own subculture.
What does he mean by that?
He says you have to create a cocoon of human activities, conversation, interaction, affection. You don't have to follow the rules of the dominant culture if they don't serve you. You build your own value system with your own people.
Now, the absolute foundation of that subculture is family.
This is a heavy one, a really important one for him. Morrie quotes the poet W.H. Auden. "Love each other or perish." He says that is his favorite line in the world.
Love each other or perish. That's powerful.
He believes family provides what he calls a spiritual security. It's the deep knowledge that someone is watching out for you no matter what. He says friends are great, friends are essential, but friends go home at the end of the night.
Family is the structure that holds you up.
They're the only foundation that truly holds you up when you fall ill or fall on hard times.
But this topic touches a real nerve for Mitch, doesn't it? Because he has a brother he's estranged from.
It's a parallel tragedy running through the whole book. Mitch has a younger brother named Peter who lives in Spain. And Peter, just like their uncle, developed pancreatic cancer.
Unbelievable.
But he reacted in the complete opposite way that Morrie did. Where Morrie invited people in, Peter shut everyone out. He didn't want his family to see him suffering. He just cut off all contact.
And that just kills Mitch. He wants to save his brother, or at least be there for him, and he can't.
And Morrie gives him very nuanced, very wise advice. He says relationships have to be negotiated. You can't force someone to let you in. You have to respect their way of handling their own pain. But he predicts that Mitch will find a way back to him eventually once he learns to let go of his own need to control the situation.
Speaking of relationships, they do a deep dive on marriage. And this comes about because Mitch finally brings his wife, Janine, to meet Morrie.
And Morrie has been begging to meet her for weeks. Mitch has been hesitant, maybe because he's afraid of mixing his two worlds, the old and the new. But Janine comes, and she's just wonderful. She's a professional singer.
And Morrie, of course, asks her to sing.
And the book notes that usually she refuses those kinds of on-the-spot requests. She's shy about performing on demand. But for Morrie, she sings "The Very Thought of You."
And what happens?
It's this incredibly beautiful, intimate moment. Morrie just closes his eyes and weeps. Not from sadness, but from the beauty of it. It shows how deeply accessible his emotions are. He's not afraid to cry in front of a stranger. He's just open.
And Morrie has some rules for marriage, too. He notes that Mitch's generation seems to struggle with commitment.
He lists 4 key rules: respect, compromise, open communication, and having common values. But he says the most important one, the one that underpins all the others, is a belief in the importance of the marriage itself.
So it's not just about 2 individuals.
Exactly. You have to value the union as a third entity. It's not just you and me, it's us. The relationship itself is something to be nurtured.
As we move into Act 3 of the book, The Final Weeks, the tone shifts. It gets harder. Morrie is declining rapidly. We are getting toward the end.
The physical deterioration is becoming humiliating. He moves from the wheelchair to the bed, and you have to remember that aphorism he wrote for himself.
When you're in bed, you're dead.
He's reached the stage he feared most: the loss of bowel control, the need for a catheter.
The asswipe test.
And here's where he passes the asswipe test we talked about earlier. He's faced with this thing he dreaded, and he decides to reframe the humiliation. He says he's going to enjoy being dependent.
Enjoy it. How?
He treats it like being a child again. Being wiped, having lotion rubbed on his feet. He chooses to accept it as a form of affection, not as a loss of dignity.
That is incredible mental fortitude. To turn being wiped after using the bathroom into a moment of receiving love, that's next level.
It's the ultimate application of his entire philosophy, finding grace in the most graceless moments.
There's also a really powerful lesson on forgiveness during this time. Morrie tells a story about an old friend of his named Norman.
This is a sad one. Norman was a sculptor who had made a beautiful bust of Morrie years ago. They were great friends. But then Morrie's wife, Charlotte, had a serious surgery, and Norman never called. He just didn't reach out.
And Mary was hurt.
He was deeply hurt, and he cut Norman off. He held a grudge.
Years.
He did, and then Norman died of cancer. They never reconciled. Morrie weeps when he tells Mitch this. He says he carries that regret with him every day.
So the lesson is, forgive yourself before you die, then forgive others.
Yeah.
He realized that his stubbornness achieved nothing. It just cost him a friendship. He says you can't get stuck on what should have happened. You have to let go of the vengeance.
One of the most poignant moments for me in the whole book is when Mitch asks him about the perfect day. He asks, Morrie, if you had 24 hours of perfect health, what would you do? And Mitch is expecting something grand, flying to Italy for lunch, having dinner with the president, seeing the pyramids, something epic.
Right, a bucket list day.
But Morrie's answer is aggressively, beautifully ordinary, he says. I'd get up, have sweet rolls and tea for breakfast, go for a swim, have my friends over for lunch, but one at a time so we can really talk, go for a walk in a garden to see the trees.
Amen.
Have a nice dinner of pasta or duck. Then I'd dance with everyone, and then I'd have a deep, perfect sleep.
That's it. That's the perfect day.
That's it. And Mitch realizes that's the entire point. Perfection isn't in some exotic adventure. It's in the average Tuesday. It's in the biscuit and the conversation and the walk. Because Morrie lost those simple things, he finally sees the sublime glory in them.
And finally we arrive at the 14th Tuesday. The goodbye.
It's just heartbreaking. Morrie is in bed. He's unshaven, which the book notes he never liked to be. He can barely speak. The cancer has finally reached his lungs.
The moment Mitch walks into the room, he knows. This is it.
Mitch just holds his hand, he strokes his hair, he doesn't know what to say, and he tells him he's a good soul. And Morrie manages to whisper, love is how you stay alive, even after you are gone.
And then the breakthrough happens for Mitch. He cries.
Morrie finally got him. After all those years of Mitch being the tough guy, the busy guy, the cynical sports reporter, he just breaks down. And the book says Morrie smiles. He's satisfied. He kisses him. It's a moment of pure, unfiltered intimacy.
Morrie also shares one final metaphor, a story about the afterlife.
Yeah.
The story of the wave.
Yes. A little wave is bobbing along in the ocean, just having a great time. Then he sees the other waves up ahead crashing against the shore, and he gets terrified. He says, my God, we're all going to crash. We're going to be nothing. He's in a panic.
And another wave comes along.
A bigger, older wave comes along and says, why are you so sad? The little wave explains, we're all going to crash and be destroyed. And the second wave just smiles and says, no, you don't understand. You're not a wave. You're part of the ocean.
That gives me chills every time. The idea that we are part of something so much larger, and death is just returning to the whole.
It was Morrie's way of finding peace in the end.
So Morrie passes away.
He died on a Saturday morning. And interestingly, the family said he waited until they all left the room for a moment to get coffee.
He waited until he was alone.
It seems that way. He wanted to protect them from having to witness the final moment. He stopped breathing when the room was empty, a final act of protection, really.
And the funeral.
It was on a Tuesday.
Of course it was.
And Mitch talks to Morrie in his head at the grave. He remembers Morrie saying, you talk, I'll listen. And for the first time, it feels completely natural.
You know, the aftermath of this deep dive is just as important as the lessons themselves. Because Mitch really changes. He's not the same guy who ducked down in the rental car.
Not at all. He reaches out to his brother in Spain. He finally does it. He leaves a message just saying, I love you, and importantly, respecting his space. And he finally gets a response.
A fax, right. It was the 90s.
A fax, yeah. His brother writes back with a few jokes and says, I have heartburn. Life's a bitch. And he signs it with an old inside joke, sore tush.
It's the door opening. Just a crack. But it's opening, he broke through.
And that's the real power of Morrie's teachings. It didn't just help Mitch write a best-selling book. It helped him repair his actual life. Mitch later finds a final paper from his college days where he had called Morrie coach and Morrie had called him player. It was a relationship that spanned decades and changed everything for him.
So after all of this, what does it all mean for us, for you, the listener?
I think the core message, if you have to boil it all down, is that there's no such thing as too late in life. Mitch thought it was too late to reconnect. He hadn't called in 16 years. He was ashamed. But he made the drive.
And Morrie was dying, but he was changing and growing and teaching until his very last breath.
Exactly. It makes you ask the question, have you had a teacher like this in your life? And maybe more importantly, are you running too fast to notice what really matters?
And maybe here's a final thought. If today were your last day, would you be worried about the things you are worrying about right now? Or would you be looking at the hibiscus plant?
The teaching goes on. We'll leave you with that thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Tuesdays with Morrie.
We'll see you next time.